My name is Leah Keith, and I'm a rising sophomore at Virginia Tech. I'm one of the business development interns at the Virginia Cyber Range, and I'm going to be helping moderate today's session. We're really happy you guys could join us, and we're so excited you guys have been participating in today's conference. Before we get started, I would like to go over a few items so you guys know how to participate in today's event. You guys will have the opportunity to submit text questions to today's speaker during the presentation by any time by typing your questions in the Q&A section on WOVA or the chat section on WOVA. I have disabled the chat section in Zoom just so we can have everything in one place and you can see everything. We will collect all of the questions in the end and address them. I ask that you guys remain muted during the presentation just so our speaker can say whatever he needs to, and then we can address the questions at the end. So without further ado, I would like to present to you guys Mark Loebker. He is from the Cyber Center for Education and Innovation, and he's going to be speaking to you guys today about high school, what cybersecurity topics we should teach. So without further ado, I'll give it over to Mark.
Thanks, Leah. And I want to let everybody know that we're really testing virtual technology here. I had an appointment that I needed to keep at 4:30, and so I'm out in a public space so that I could do this talk because there was no way I could do it from home and drive to the appointment at 4:30. So we really are testing the virtual. I'm coming to you over my cell phone hotspot. I've got 2 cameras going because one of the things we're going to do, keep our fingers crossed if technology works, is we'll be beaming into the National Cryptologic Museum on our robot called Friedman. So if you hear some background noise, sorry, kind of in a public area here, but we'll do the best we can. So I really appreciate the opportunity, and Dave, thanks for letting us be here today to talk about this very important topic. One of the things that I'd like to start out with is kind of what is the National Cryptologic Museum. As you can see, our vision there is really to try to influence that cryptologic future. The museum is a private-public partnership with the National Security Agency and our National Cryptologic Museum Foundation, with our goal to bring that education into the classroom, specifically the K-12. Most of you know that there's centers of academic excellence. Virginia Tech is one of those, one of the great ones. And we work very closely with NSA and DHS on the centers of academic excellence. But since that program is very robust, we're kind of concentrating on the K-12 environment. Our big missions is to educate, stimulate, and commemorate. The big part of those top 2 are kind of what I want to talk about to you today. Not only to educate, but to stimulate a dialogue. And you'll see later on where we talk about that dialogue that we need to have and continue to have amongst the states on how best to educate our students. The new museum, we're about ready to build a brand new museum. Most of you have been to our museum. It was built back in the 90s. Yeah, well, it's an old hotel, and it was opened up in the 90s. So it's been there a while. So we're building a new 74,000 square foot museum, as you see here, the outside, artist conception. We are really close to breaking ground, and we're hoping that we'll be able to bring that news to you soon. But in the meantime, we're still doing the virtual aspects of our Cyber Center. General Nakasone, the current director of NSA, has really seen that we provide that opportunity to bring to the public the history and what NSA does to the public. And we can do that outside the fence, so to speak. So you don't need a clearance to get into the museum. You don't need a clearance to engage in our programs that I'll talk about throughout this briefing. And many of us are retired. I left the agency in 2017 after about 25 years at the agency. Many of those as a lieutenant colonel in the Air Force, then retired and did another 18 at NSA as an NSA civilian. So many of us at the museum are expatriates, so to speak, of giving our time to help these kids learn about this important topic that we all are concentrated on. What we're doing today is I'm going to talk about all of these bullets in this briefing. The big thing you heard from Dr. Melissa Dark earlier this morning is our high school cybersecurity curriculum guidelines and our materials. Very proud of that development. We also have the CAE resource directory that we'd be developing. We're going to be looking at a feasibility study for should we have a CAE program in the high school domain. As you see, connecting cybersecurity professionals to every classroom, and there's a picture of Friedman in the slide here. We are working with a company called NEPRIS, and we go into over 8,000 classrooms providing content in those classrooms. As you've heard many times during this presentation or during this conference, one of the challenges we have is that many K-12 teachers, high school teachers, don't have the expertise to actually teach these subject matter in class. Well, that's where coming into the classroom with professionals like I am provide that content. We're not teachers, and we don't claim to be, but you're the teachers, and so you can do the teaching aspect. We can provide your live textbook, so to speak, and come into your classrooms and talk with your students. And we've been able to do that successfully. I have some more information on that later in the briefing. We also been doing webinars for teachers and school counselors to help them know. We still are hosting the assured quality curriculum that was provided by all the universities at the university level. Many of these modules are being adapted for high school and can be done. And we're really excited about a new partnering opportunity with Theorem Media. I'll talk about that a little bit later in the presentation, called Cyber Nation Project. I'm not going to go too much deep in the cyber security curriculum guidelines, because Melissa talked about that in her presentation. The main point for putting it up on the slide is so that you can see our website. Please, these slides are available on WOVA. Please copy down the slides. We'd love for you to distribute them to a wide audience, but be sure to go to our website. Over on the left-hand side, you'll see all the different links. You'll see the high school cybersecurity curriculum guidelines, and that's the page we're on right now. And it talks about all the different big ideas that we've been developing. You'll see on the left, on the probably your right-hand column, left-hand column, the big ideas. Those are the 8 that Melissa talked about. We're already in phase 2. All of this is being funded by our very generous grantees. Northrop Grumman provided a lot of funding for phase 1, and Hewlett Foundation provided the majority of funding for phase 2. So all of these information we're developing is common Creative Commons licensing. So there's no fee for it. Anybody can download this and provide it in their classrooms. Melissa discussed the CCEI project, but we just finished a whole suite of materials, as well as a teacher training. We're also partnering with Cyber Florida, who are producing materials as well that align with the Florida standards as well. So a lot of great work underway, a lot of good progress. Still a lot of work to be done, but some really good progress in this area. So please feel free to look at that information and ask questions about that. The big idea is broken down into essential questions, enduring understandings, learning objectives, and essential knowledge. Follows a classic educational process. One of the things I'm trying to depict with our 2 screening beanies pushing the various puzzle pieces to this house is that heretofore there's not really been a lot of guidelines that kind of pull it together. So these guidelines talk about what we should teach, not how to teach it, but what we should teach, to try to align what we're trying to do in an educational manner. One of the other opportunities we have is, as I mentioned, through our NEPRIS.com. The address is there, ccei.nepris.com, where we're actually bringing cyber professionals to the classroom. We do that through a thing called Cybersecurity Chats, but we're also doing it when you ask. So you can go to our site and say, hey, we'd like to have you come in and talk to our classroom. So those are the 2 ways to bring it in. We have routine in-classroom programs where we do these cybersecurity chats. Here's our website for that. You'll see the virtual on the left-hand side menu, the virtual CCEI education via NEPRIS. It lists all of our chats, the upcoming ones, and if I could scroll down, if we're on the live site and scroll down, you'd see video links to all of our past sites. all of our past talks, which you can get to. So we did a cybersecurity chat series. We're doing a summer camp with NEPRIS. And most importantly, we teamed with NICE, one of our great partners, NICE and also the NICE K-12 subgroup. And we're working on right now a very robust program for the National Cybersecurity Career Awareness Week in November, as well as some activities for the October Cybersecurity Awareness Month. In our cybersecurity series, we reached over 5,000 people in 28 live sessions. You see over in the left-hand series some of the talks that were given. We were very blessed to have two Purdue students who stepped up to the plate and provided talks. So the students got to see someone a little bit closer to their age, other than somebody like me with a gray goatee talking to them about cybersecurity. So they gave some really good talks, and we're very happy about the work that they did. One of the students, high school instructors out in California, sent a very nice thank you note for it. And in the first 4 sessions we did on cybersecurity principles, what we did, we used our cybersecurity guidelines as a backdrop for these professionals. And as you can see, he said that this is exactly what he was teaching, and he's making it mandatory for his kids to watch all of these tapes, the videos for the data and privacy, exploring system engineering, adversarial thinking, which is very, very important in careers in system security engineering. So we invite you to go to our website, watch the videos, pass those on to your students. I think they'll get a lot out of them. And these were industry leaders who were giving these talks. 2 of the talks were from Queens of Code. In fact, here you see all the talks that we gave during that thing. We had 2 from the Queens of Code. These were the women at NSA who actually programmed the very first computers at NSA. So you're hearing from the people who were there and created history. I really like the tales from the crypt analysis. That gentleman was really good, and he gave a nice talk about cryptanalysis, and of course that's what he did for a living. So many of the people here wrote the book, and their students have an opportunity to hear from the real pros. The webinars that we gave were well accepted. As you see, Bill Newhouse from NICE was one of our first guest speakers for counselors. We followed that up with Dr. Joyce Palin out of University of Maryland Global Campus, which is our wonderful academic partner. That we couldn't do the things we do at CCEI without University of Maryland Global Campus. And a lot of attendees were at these conferences. The second one, it looks like it only had 41, but those were 41 educators in Maryland, which was really a wonderful opportunity to get down and talk to and exchange with educators in Maryland. We also had the opportunity with Senator Hester from Maryland, Senator Hester, to give a talk on women in intelligence. We had the author of the Code Breakers. This is also on our site. Very wonderful webinar. I highly recommend your students click on this one. It's on our site, plus you have the YouTube address right there. Senator Hester is very active in cyber, and we really are enjoying the partnership with her at our center. I did mention that we had the learning objectives at the college level. It's called Clark. As you see, the name for Clark is out there. There's over 783 learning objectives in this data structure. And you can go there. It's all free to download. As you can see, this was just a screenshot of about 3 weeks ago. So there's probably been a lot more downloads since then. I just kind of take screenshots every once in a while to try to keep it updated. But these are quality curriculum. It goes through a peer review. As you see, after the curriculum is uploaded, we demand that it is entered in a Bloom's taxonomy way, so that we have an ability to sort by Bloom's taxonomy, as well as kind of force that issue. So we know we're getting good curriculum. We go through peer review, active curators to make sure it's quality curriculum. Once it passes the assured quality, then it's turned on and people can download it. So those 783 release learning objectives have been through this peer process. As people download the information and use it, they obviously will take a look and go, hey, you know, I'd like to update this, or I have another idea. That is definitely encouraged. That's why we have the crowdsourcing there, to where you have the knowledge of who actually wrote that particular module. You can go back to that professor and say, hey, I got an update here, or have you thought about this? A dialogue happens, then it goes back to the easy in again. It's relooked at for assured quality to make sure the additions are good, and then easy out again. So this is a way we're keeping all those 783 learning objectives and more fresh and accurate and up to date. We all know that cybersecurity changes quite frequently, and we need that process by which it is kept up to date. So we're very proud of Clark, and encourage you folks to hit our site, and you can get to Clark and see if these learning objectives are good for you as well. One of the other opportunities we have is, as a private-public partnership with NSA, is we work very closely with the NSA K-12 program and the NSA people at the museum to bring their programs through NEPRIS and virtualize the content. These are a wealth of wonderful programs on the linguistics, mathematics, ciphers, cryptography, the whole range of cryptanalysis is there available. This is from their site, the Speakers Bureau, which lists everything that they have available. And so we're working with them to virtualize that and to provide in-classroom toolkits. For instance, I just taught one of their classes last week during the summer camp on ciphers. It has a bunch of worksheets that I put out for the students to have, and we worked through it online through a Zoom call, and they had to decrypt a ciphered message, and we went through techniques on how to do that. And so those types of classes are available that we are more than willing to help schedule to bring that type of information into your class. The example I have here is that when you're teaching history, we can come in and talk about the cryptographic techniques that was used in the American Revolution as part of your history classes. And so it's that type of innovative thinking of how to roll cybersecurity into what you're currently teaching in a math class, teaching ciphers, teaching that type of examples that show how math is used is what we'd love to partner with you on. So we are able to work with NSA and the National Cryptologic Museum, NSA folks, to bring this content to you. We also developed an escape room, a cyber escape room. We are very proud that we're able to take it to this to the World Jamboree, as you see here, this past August in 2019. Here you see a picture of scouts in the escape room working through the different puzzles. The other picture is me in the tent, where I'm actually driving freedmen around the museum. We had over 160 nations at that Jamboree. And so when part of the tent where I was standing, they had a station to work Enigma puzzles. So after they worked the Enigma puzzles, they came over to my station, and I zoomed into the museum and actually showed them the live Enigma machine, which you're going to see, hopefully, if the technology continues to work. You're going to see that in a couple of minutes. I'll be walking freedmen over to the Enigma machine, and one of the only surviving Bombays. If you watched the movie about Alan Turing, he designed the three-wheel Bombay that was over in England, and then we designed the four-wheel that was done by National Cash Register. We have the only surviving one that is known. I don't think anyone else has one in their basement, but we have the only surviving one in our museum, so you can actually see that. So hopefully, if technology stays with us, we'll be driving freedmen over to see that. We're looking at a virtual and remote capability for this escape room. We were very grateful to receive a Maryland grant from the casino folks to take this escape room and make it into a flyaway kit. And so we're going to be building that out here over the fall, and look forward to responding to requests to bring the escape room into schools and to set it up and have the students go through the escape room. It's meant for high school students because we're there for the Scout Jamboree, which is ages 14 to 18. It's a half-hour limit. You can see the clock in the back. They're at the 15-minute mark. So they're about halfway through the escape room puzzle. Most scouts got done in around the 23-minute time. That was our bell curve. So I think we have it placed just right as far as the difficulty for the escape room. So we'd love to look at bringing that into your environment. I mentioned our opportunity to work with Theorem Media. If you remember Schoolhouse Rock and I Am Just a Bill and Conjunction Junction, these are the people who brought you that type of engagement. The most recent one is called We the Economy. I totally encourage you to go out, look for Theorem Media. That's their the name. It'll come up with their website. Go to We Are the Economy. It's a beautiful set of films and educational material about the economy. Their next project, they said, hey, we gotta help redefine public security in the digital age. And so we're very proud to be partnering with them to provide additional cyber security subject matter expertise. They're going to do about 20 short films. As you see here, I won't read the slide to you, but it's going to be the most comprehensive public engagement on this topic. And we're just so proud to be partnering with them. Melissa Dark is already in conversations with them. We're using our guidelines as the framework for content. And now that we've got the in-classroom materials done, Melissa will be sharing that in-classroom material for them for their scripts to bring that material to life in this particular environment. So we're very excited about that partnership. We're at a point now to where I'm going to test the technology. So we're going to see if we can drive Freeman around in the museum and take a look at the Enigma machine. This is what Freeman looks like. It is from Suitable Technologies. It's called a Beam robot. They have 3 versions of this robot. This is the low-end version. You're doing a pilot test. Their high-end version is used in operating rooms. It is a lot bigger unit, full tilt pan zoom, larger screen, and it's made for surgeons to do virtual remote surgeries. So they'll be in the operating room with the other surgeons providing advice and counsel. So this technology is wonderful technology. So what I have to do, I have to stop sharing this and bring up the other one. So I'm going to do that. So hang with me here and we'll test the technology. Okay, I'm going to share again and bring up, there we go. And let's see if we're in the room. Okay, well, I am in the room. So this is, hopefully everybody sees this. And so now we're walking out. We are in the museum right now, the National Cryptologic Museum in Fort Meade, Maryland. We're in what's called the Sagaba conference room. This artifact here in front of us is the desk of the original NSA director, and this is his conference table. And so we use this as a conference room. So the original director of NSA sat at that desk and used that conference table. But we're going to walk out, and I'll show you a bigger screen. But we're going to walk out, and this is all being done over a cell phone hotspot. So that's pretty impressive. So we're going over into the Enigma display. I'll pull right up here to the Enigma machine. Hey, good, and they had it open for us. Great. Let me give you a little bit bigger view of the Enigma machine. This is one of the capabilities that we can do to bring this virtual tours to the museum. Where a docent would be standing next to the Enigma machine, giving the talk, pressing the buttons, and the students or anybody can actually see what's going on in the museum and have that guided tour. This is a display about how the Bomba was developed. We walked through the fact that the three Polish officers who wrote the Enigma code to start with. And we talked about in the Enigma how you take a device like the Enigma, which was meant to be unbreakable because of the mathematical aspect of the combinations, and it truly is a phenomenal machine. However, the human is always the weakest link, and this is one of the points we like to make to the students, is that not only did a German give these three Polish officers a device in the plans, which is the human weakness, and they were able to break the code, and then they provided that to the English, and then Alan Turing gets involved and says, okay, we got to do this faster, and develops it, and the story ensues from there about how the Enigma and the Bombe, B-O-M-B-E, Bomba, was developed. And I'll walk right as we go back to the office, and then I'll open up for questions. As I stroll back through this way, you'll come into view. This is the actual Bomba that we had down at Nebraska Avenue. This is the four-wheel Bomba that we had to use because the German Navy thought there was a leak with Enigma, and they put a fourth rotor in. And so we built the fourth rotor machine. These were built by National Cash Register and used in the basement down on Nebraska Avenue in Washington, D.C. To break the Enigma. So this is one of our capabilities, to be able to just drive around the museum and see what's available. So I'm gonna bring it, Friedman, right back into this room here and open it up for any questions that anybody might have.
Thank you so much for your presentation. That was awesome.